Happy Wednesday and welcome back to the Lorden Arts channel. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today as we mull a bit of a question that I've had. Are downtowns dangerous places to be right now? If you live close to a major metropolitan area, you might be seeing articles about how crime is on the rise in your downtown. Is that accurate? What are your own personal feelings about it? Have I had any experience in a downtown area recently? I have. We'll touch on that as well. But we're going to start with this article that has just come out over the past few days, talking about Amazon over at SeattleTimes.com. Citing crime concerns, Amazon pulls workers from office at former Macy's in downtown Seattle. So essentially, they got into this building. You can see a picture of the building back here, this Macy's building. They have enough space there. They're in several floors. They've got enough space where I think they can have 1,800 employees at that location. And they're basically saying, we don't want you guys to come in at this location down here because of the crime concerns going on in downtown Seattle. The office's 1,800 employees have been working remotely during the pandemic. Rather than returning to the desks they left over 2 years ago, workers will move to other locations. In that first statement, I think, is a very big and important consideration pointing towards what might be going on in our downtown areas. If there's less people that are going down there for work, does that change safety in general? Just a little question I want to put to you guys. Given recent incidents near 3rd and Pine, we're providing employees currently at that location with alternative office space elsewhere, the spokesperson said in an emailed statement. We're hopeful that conditions will improve so that we'll be able to bring employees back to this location when it's safe to do so. When is that? What are the conditions for that? Since February 21st, there have been at least 3 shootings, 2 stabbings, and 1 carjacking in the area, according to the Seattle Police Department. Now, honestly, talking about a major metropolitan downtown area like Seattle or San Francisco or Los Angeles or Chicago or Minneapolis, you might not be so surprised by hearing, oh, there was a shooting, there was a stabbing, there was a carjacking. What's a bit concerning about this area in particular is they're talking about those all occurring within a matter of just a few weeks. But what's going on in terms of downtown areas, right? I wound up going to a show. It was on a Thursday night. Decided I was going to go to Minneapolis with my wife. We went to dinner before that, but we kind of caught an early dinner. We were down there at like 5:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday. There was no one around. Like the number of people literally walking on the streets in Minneapolis, you could count on one hand. And we had like a 2-block walk from where we parked to the actual theater that we were going to. The people that you did see that you could count on that hand were people that would make you nervous. It would make you nervous. Someone that might have looked like potentially a drug user huddled up in a corner. Someone walking around, stumbling. It wasn't a general kind of mix that you would see. I mean, pre-COVID, if you went to the exact same area, which we did because we go to that theater district fairly regularly, you'd see all kinds of things. You'd see people leaving work, especially 5 o'clock on a Thursday. Should be tons of foot traffic, people leaving their jobs down there. None of that existed. Multiple restaurants completely shuttered, completely closed. A whole area known as Nicollet Mall, which is essentially kind of this, it's almost like a walkway. It looks like it was a street at one point. They closed it all off. And they just made it like a walk. Just no one there at all. And when you're already in that type of environment where you're used to seeing so many people and there's so few people, like your nerves all of a sudden start kicking up. Like this feels off. This already feels off. Now you're walking by a column where you've got some guy huddled in a corner. You don't know what he's doing. He's eyeing you or comes shuffling after you. I think what it points to is back to that first sentence that we talked about with Amazon. They haven't had their employees at that building in 2 years. And now we've got crime kind of surging in that area. Don't you think that it's easier to get away with that type of stuff when there's literally less people? You know, if someone is being carjacked or someone's being robbed on a street corner and you look around and there is no one else except for you and the person that's accosting you, I think it's a significant factor in all this. I think it's why we're seeing some of this stuff in the downtown areas. And I've got some numbers in terms of foot traffic. Let's take a look at visualcapitalist.com. How are downtowns recovering from the pandemic? They've got an infographic here that's showing the average weekday visitor volume. And what we can see is for these downtown areas, they're tracking all kinds of different downtown areas here. Unfortunately, they don't have Minneapolis, but they're showing that leading up to March 2020, regularly for these areas they're tracking, you could have anywhere between 260 to 300,000 people in these areas. And all of a sudden, that just gets kneecapped. I mean, it gets taken down to just about 30,000. Kind of starts growing a little bit through the end of 2020, but doesn't get above 60,000. And even at this point, with the most recent data they're tracking, which for this article is getting into September and October of 2021, we're not even near 100,000. We're not even close to a third of the people that would be of those areas. And here we can see the percentages. I mean, these are severely, I mean, look, 76% less foot traffic in Oakland, 82% less foot traffic in the Silicon Valley. Looking at foot traffic across city centers in North America, this graphic measures just that using data from Avison Young. According to the data, which measures foot traffic in major office buildings in 23 different metropolitan hubs across North America, it remains drastically below pre-pandemic levels. Across all major cities included in the index, average weekday visitor volume has fallen by 73.7%. 73% less people that are out there. 73% less witnesses to crimes that could be happening on the street out there, or people that might even be intervening in those crimes out there. So do I think that that's a factor in all this? Certainly. You've got these huge areas, buildings that regularly would have thousands and thousands of people in each of those buildings that are empty at this point. They're not there. And if they're not there, they're not coming and going. And if they're not coming and going, other people could be looking like more of a target. And back to Amazon's building in Seattle, the violent surge prompted the Seattle Police Department to set up a mobile precinct along 3rd Avenue where officers on bikes now regularly patrol the area. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell's office told Fox News he's working to make the downtown safer, but it may take time. I think so, but more importantly, I think it takes people. And I don't think you can replace 300,000 people with officers on bikes. It's not going to happen. For me personally, just taking a very short walk around a city that used to be so vibrant, it was really eye-opening. And I left there with a huge question of, would I ever go back? What is it going to take for this area to be brought back to life, to feel safer again? And the number one answer that kept popping in my head was people. There's got to be people down there, or it's never going to feel safe again. If the people that are down there are ones that are possibly using drugs, homeless, dealing with mental health issues, sleeping in the corners of those big empty buildings, it's going to be extremely tough to turn that around. How do you convince an Amazon, okay, we're ready for your 1,800 people to come back to this part of town? I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you seeing the same kind of thing in your areas? Are your downtowns a little more deserted? Have you tried going to downtown since the pandemic? I want to hear about those in the comments down below. Really appreciate your time today. Hope you have a wonderful and safe day. We'll see you again on Friday with a brand new episode of Searchlight right here on the Lord and Arch channel.